Hello everybody, and welcome back to another Comedians video. Today, I'll be doing the third of my David Peters deep dives, which will be a deep dive into his clade Ticinosuchidae. And I know it's been a while since I did one of these, like 2 months, but I've been working my way through these slowly, and this one's going to be longer than the previous ones, but I also, with future ones, will increase the speed of my work process so I can get them out at a quicker rate than taking 2 months. So, with that out of the way, let's get into it. It is Ticinosuchidae, according to Peters, is a clade of pseudoseuchians, part of a sister group to the Poposaurians. He places it within Euarchosaura forms and divides it into 6 smaller clades: the Arizonosaurs, the Yarasuchians, the Ticinosuchians, the Ticinosuchians, Stegonolepians, and the Etosaurians. And we will be covering each of those in little sections of this video. So get into that now with Arizonosaurians. Arizonosaurus clade, or Arizonosaurini, I guess, is a clade of sail-backed pseudoseuchians, which are basically analogous to the real-world Ticinosuchidae, which is a group of Poposauridians related to Poposauridae, but they're not related to basically any of the other creatures in this clade that Peters has created. And this clade is made up of Arizonosaurus babbittii, which was in reality a Ticinosuchid Poposauridian from the Anisian, about 243 million years ago of Arizona. But Peters places it as an Arizonosaurian Ticinosuchid, being the most basal member of a group of the group that contains the Arizonosaurians, the Yarasuchians, and the Ticinosaurians. He also claims that it was bipedal when in reality it was quadrupedal. He gives it a longer and pointier snout than it had in reality, and he claims the sail was most likely for thermoregulation and for sexual selection, most likely, somehow. The clade also contains Ticinosuchus sapingensis, which was in reality a Ticinosuchid Poposauridian from the Alencian, 247 million years ago, of China. Peters places it in the Arizonosaurus clade, but he does not make any unusual claims about it, although the head of his reconstruction of it is oddly small. And then the final member of the Arizonosaurus clade is Ticinosuchus kieneni, which was in reality another Ticinosuchid Poposauridian from the Alencian, 247 million years ago, of Germany. He places in the Arizonosaurian clade, obviously, and in one article he claims that it may have been a derived paraornithischian, a grouping that does not exist, although apparently he has changed opinion on this since then, given he no longer places it as whatever a paraornithischian is, and he no longer places it near Lotosaurus. Next up is the Yarasuchians, or the Yarasuchus clade, which is another very small clade, basal Ticinosuchids, related closest to the Arizonosaurians, but a bit more derived than them. And it contains Yarasuchus decanensis, which was in reality an Aphasnosaurian, which is a clade of basal avimetatarsalians from the Anisian of India, but Peters places it as a Yarasuchian Ticinosuchid, more derived than the Arizonosaurians, but he makes no strange claims about its physiology. The clade also contains Teleocrata radinus, which was another Aphanosaurian from the Anisian, about 247 to 242 million years ago, but this one being in reality from Tanzania, and he places it as slightly more basal to than the Alarasuchus and closest to the Arizonosaurians, but also makes no other strange claims about it. Next up is the final clade of the subclade containing the Yarasuchians, Arizonosaurians, and the Ticinosuchians, kind of, is the Ticinosuchians, or the Ticinosuchus clade, which is another more basal group, but it contains Ticinosuchus mixtus, which was in reality a Poposauroidean from the Anisian of China, but Peters places it as the most derived member of the Arizonosaurian/Yarasuchian branch of Ticinosuchidae, but he places Nondasuchus on the other branch, meaning that the Ticinosuchian clade is polyphyletic according to him. His reconstruction of it is not particularly strange. The clade also contains Nondasuchus songianensis, which is an indeterminate Pseudotsuchian from the Anisian to approximately 247 to 242 million years ago of Tanzania in reality, but Peters places it as the most basal of the Etosaurs on his Ticinosuchidae, and again, he doesn't make that many unusual claims about its physiology. The Ticinosuchians are a smaller clade of basal Etosaurian Ticinosuchids, and his first member of this clade is Ticinosuchus ferox, which is in reality a species of basal Suchian from the Anisian to Ladinian of Switzerland, and it's placed as the most basal Etosaur other than Nondasuchus by Peters, and who gives it a more Etosaur-like appearance when it was actually closer to Nondasuchus in appearance, but he basically completely rearranges its skull because the real creature had a really badly damaged skull, so he just makes its skull up. And this ties into Peters' habit of disregarding all body fossils in favor of characteristics in the skull, so he bases it on this supposedly Etosaur-like skull reconstruction that he's made, rather than the body, which resembles that of its actual relatives. The other member of this clade is Hemiprotosuchus learli, which is a species of protosuchid, which was a family of basal crocodiliforms, but you'd know that if you'd already seen the first episode of this series. And Hemiprotosuchus dates back to the Norian, approximately 221.5 to 205.6 million years ago of Argentina. Again, he places it as a basal Etosaur, and does not make any unusual claims about how it actually looked. The Stegonolepis clade is a monospecific clade of more derived Etosaurian Ticinosuchids, and it contains as such only one species, Stegonolepis robertsoni, which was in reality a stegonolepidid Etosaur from the Carnian approximately 221 to 206 million years ago of Germany, Poland, and Scotland, and he places it as a more derived Etosaurian and the first one to display actual Etosaurian features, given as the most basal of his Etosaurians that's actually an Etosaur. And he makes its legs potentially a bit long, but other than that it's a pretty accurate reconstruction. And the final and most derived members of Ticinosuchidae are the Etosaurians, which is made up of Etosaurus ferratus, which was in reality a Etosaurian stegonolepidid from the Carnian Tenorian of Arizona or Greenland, and Peters places it as the most derived Ticinosuchid, alongside its sister taxon Etosaurides, and he gives it a snout that is potentially a bit too short, but other than that he makes no odd claims about how it actually looked. And the final member of this clade is Etosaurides scagliae, which is the most basal Etosaurus species in reality, known from the Carnian Tenorian approximately 231 to 225 million years ago of Argentina and Brazil. Interestingly enough, Peters places it as the most derived Etosaur, which is ironic given how basal it is in reality. And it should also have a slightly more basal snout, but other than that, it's pretty good. Thank you for watching this video. I hope the next one doesn't take another 2 months, but I've already started working on it. And as a hint, it's about mammals. Well, if you enjoyed this video, leave a like. I'll see you next time, and enjoy a little evolutionary transition montage according to Peters over the little credits bit at the end. Goodbye.